You had said you would be willing to share the emotions that you went through on your journey and how you still turned them to be like, if you look at your website, you can tell how positive and happy you are. It's not just a joke. Like, you really are this positive, happy person, even though you've navigated some really challenging things. So, how do you still have these real emotions, yet still return to being happy?
So I'm a highly emotional person. So like I would say like I really love, I guess what they would call, might be not the right term, but like chick flicks, right? I love movies that make me feel. And why I like him so much, because I've tried to figure out why it is I like him so much, but I think I like him so much because when I feel, I'm alive, right? Like I feel most alive when I'm feeling. And so it felt like to get to, first off, when somebody tells you, at least in my situation, you have a stage or it's not stage, grade 4 glioblastoma, is what I was told. You think about, okay, well, every movie made, they kill the patient, they kill the person off with brain cancer. So like this is the way it goes. And so immediately what happens is you pause on cancer and it just keeps replaying in your head. And you feel betrayed, not by the person, the doctor, but I felt betrayed by myself. Like, what is like, how did this happen? So you kind of like let that in a little bit. And then you go through the feelings. And the way that I would explain it is I knew, like I said, I knew that this was not the end. So I never let that truly root itself in there, but I let myself feel all of the feelings. So I would sit and I would look. I mean, it was the worst thing. I would sit and look and watch, and I go like, this is what life is going to be like without me here. And I would see like my kids. I would see, my family like going through stuff, and I would, pause and really feel how shitty that felt, and look at it and go like, this is what they're all going to do when I'm not here. And then what you I think the key is then I look at it from the flip side. Okay, it doesn't have to be like that. How can I flip this? How can I let this emotion go through? Because I think it's really important. It is the trauma shake, so to speak, where you let that emotion go. Like it, for so long, I would let the bad stuff people told me growing up become who I am. I would let it define me. And this is where I wish that you could bottle it's not bottling up a magic pill. I wish I could bottle up what the magic that comes from being diagnosed with this thing. The amount of stuff that I don't care about now that I would care about before is insane. Like it's like all of a sudden, like you look at the world in a whole different lens. Like, you want to cut me off in traffic? Cool. You must not need to get there more than I would. I don't feel the need to yell or whatever. Like there's none of that stuff enters into the picture anymore. It's such a blip. Like, I never understood before where people would say stuff like, you know, this moment in time is just a blip on your radar. But until like you get this clarity, and I think that must be where it comes from, because a lot of times now I look at things and I just like, man, this is just this is just Monday, like, and it's like, it's one Monday that I'm going to have forever. And once it really sunk into me to understand that the only thing that's real in our lives is this moment right now. When we hit record on this and we started recording this, it's gone. It'll never come back. Right. And you can't hold on. I can't hold on to, boy, I wish I would have resaid this and then keep playing that over and over every day. Old me would have done that 100%. But then what happened is as I started to evolve, which I think is what it initially was, and I started to meditate more and truly understand what meditation was, and started to kind of like disassociate who I am or what I define myself as instead of like, what are the possibilities? And that's where I started kind of really kind of picturing this idea. And it was all the stuff I had taken in from like reading quantum science and nerding out on all these different things with meditation, all this stuff like this, where all of a sudden it goes like, wait a minute, I think this is what they meant, and it was like, I didn't need, like, the first time I remember I read it, Dr. Joe's book, I had a I had my phone out with the dictionary, and I had to stop every other word and look up what it meant because it was just so confusing. But then all of a sudden, like this, it just clicked. He talks a lot about like sometimes it'll just click and you'll get it. And that's what it was. And for me, what I realized was that I was walking my life with two versions of me. I had the real me. I should say two little versions of me. And when I say little, I'm talking about my childhood, right? Like where I was as a kid. Because there was two things about my childhood was real. One, I knew I was a good person and I loved people. And what I really wanted out of life, I knew that out of the get-go. That is love. Then I had the other chunk, which was the fear. Everything everybody told me and the stuff I'd tell myself, and I believed it. And the problem was, as I was going down the path of life, I was holding the fear in the right hand, and it's the noisy kid. It's the one that is going to get all your attention and everything. It's a squeaky wheel. And I paid so much attention that I let go of the left hand and I let go of love for a long, long time. And when I finally realized that the fear, all it was doing was just trying to get me to pay attention and steal my present moment and try to tell me all the reasons why none of this stuff was possible for me. Once I realized that that was just all made up nonsense, that by the time I realized it, I thought, oh no, I let go of love. And little did I know the whole time, love was off like putting like those little Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs that eventually led back to me. And it was like, it was just sitting there all along, been like, where you been? I've been waiting for you. And in that moment, you realize that like all the stuff that we make such a big deal in our lives are just nothing but lies that we've told ourselves over and over again. And we believe it. And if we learn that like the exact, if bad exists, good exists well as well, maybe you're just looking in the wrong direction. Maybe you just got to feel this thing right now and understand that on the other side, there's this amazing thing waiting for you. And what you're going to find, it's not as complicated and difficult as you realize you think it is because you've made it up in your head. It's literally just a turn of the head and just looking and going like, oh, okay. And by the way, you have to reset it every day. It's not something that's just going to magically show up every day. It's a, this long answer I'm giving you, it happens every day, right? It's an everyday thing, and there's no magic answer of you do it once and you're good to go. If that
Yeah.
was the case, I'm pretty sure we would all be pretty,
Pretty
pretty
much there.
enlightened. Yeah.
Yeah.